this is going to be Hans's final message to the regular chippers, and then we've got a graduation following this of the Bob and Mady of our 20th chip graduates. So it's going to be a big day, and I know this is his final message, but it's going to be a great one because everybody wants to eat more and weigh less. And so anyway, before we get started, we're going to have Dan. He wrote a chip song. On Friday, I think he sang it, and he's going to sing it again. This was, Hans said this song has gone on to 4 continents, and Dan has a real gift for making up. Yeah. Yeah, that's the truth. And Hans, he does have a gift too, but Dan has a real gift for writing songs. When Gord turned 70, he wrote a birthday song for Gord, and that was really exciting. So anyway, Dan's going to sing the CHIP program.
This will be the last time I guess I get to do this. He's going home. Can I go with you? I was just talking to him before the meeting. He says how warm it is there. He says it got down pretty cold, though. It got down, what, to 65? It's not very nice to rub it in, is it? I'm on? Good. CHIP program, the CHIP program. We thank heaven for the CHIP program. Thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am, for telling us all about the CHIP program. No more burgers, no more fries, lower cholesterol and thinner thighs. No more clothing that's oversized, thanks to the CHIP program. CHIP program, the CHIP program. We thank heaven for the CHIP program. Thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am, for telling us all about the CHIP program. Learn to forgive and drink your water. Forgive yourself, your son, and your daughter. Don't go eating food that you hadn't oughter. Stay on the CHIP program. CHIP program, the CHIP program. We thank heaven for the CHIP program. Thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am, for telling us all about the CHIP program. The good Lord willing and the creek don't rise, we'll keep doing our exercise. We'll keep doing that apple pie, thanks to the CHIP program. CHIP program, the CHIP program. We thank heaven for the CHIP program. Thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am, for telling us all about the CHIP program. No more Timmy's or Burger King. The phone of pizza doesn't need to ring. Grab an apple and some water and begin to sing, but stay on the CHIP program. CHIP program, the CHIP program. We thank heaven for the CHIP program. Thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am, for telling us all about the CHIP program. Eat lots of mangoes like Dr. Diehl. You can't imagine how good you'll feel. All of a sudden, life will seem so real, thanks to the CHIP program. CHIP program, the CHIP program. We thank heaven for the CHIP program. Thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am, for telling us all about the CHIP program. At the end of the day, when all is said and done, and you've just finished a 2-mile run, you're finally in a race that you have won, thanks to the CHIP program. The CHIP program, the CHIP program. We thank heaven for the CHIP program. Thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am, for telling us all about the CHIP program. That's it.
How many of you were here this weekend to at least How many of you are not here to any one of the presentations? Okay, so a few of you are here. All right. It's just a real pleasure for me to be here and to celebrate with you here the 20th CHIP program. This is one of the longest running programs. We have some 65,000 graduates in the CHIP program. It runs now in different continents. It's spreading very, very virally. We have found some special adoptive parents to our CHIP baby. I've nurtured this baby for 25 years. It, of course, stands for the Complete Health Improvement Program. It's a 30-hour educational program to reverse common Western, common modern killer diseases. A disease that don't respond very well to medical approaches. In medical care, we can treat symptoms of these diseases, but we cannot really reverse them because they're largely diseases that are under our control. Heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, arthritis, some of the depression, certain cancers. They're all in part, oftentimes in large part, related to how we respond to what the body really needs. And the culture is kind of undermining what the body really needs. The culture says, eat, drink, and be merry, and tomorrow you can diet. Right? And it doesn't work very well either. So we want to talk about diet a little bit today, but actually I'd like to broaden that to a larger topic. And so I want to ask you a question, but before I do this, let me say this to you. I know that when people come to a program where they talk about overweight, they don't feel very good. They always are afraid they're going to get beaten down again. They're getting these guilt trips being produced. I want you to be very relaxed. There are no guilt trips today. Nobody's going to looking askance at you. You're all welcomed here as people that are looking for answers. And the answers are out there. And if you follow some of the guidelines that we give you today, you never have to worry about another diet. As a matter of fact, I won't even give you a diet today. I will give you a lifestyle. And once you begin to understand this, you will not fall into the hands of these merchants of misery. That's all they do. They promise you something and they don't keep it because you can't. And so the first thing I want to tell you is that you are not responsible. If you're overweight, you're not responsible for it. Do you like that? Is that good news for you? You are not responsible for being overweight if you're overweight. If you're obese, it's not your fault. You're not responsible. Is that good news? I thought you would all say, amen, hallelujah, yes, and give me standing ovation, and yes, and then you go home. Now, some of you look kind of a little bit suspicious at me. I think you probably figure he's setting a trap for us, right? Well, let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase it. Let me say it this way. If you're overweight, you are not exclusively responsible for being overweight. How many of you agree with this? Do you think that's more truthful? Yeah, I think so too, isn't it? So if you are not the one totally responsible for it, what are the circumstantial factors that are contributing to the fact that you are carrying extra weight? Let's do this together. Who is contributing to the obesity epidemic in our society today? Who is pushing the weight onto you? Just raise your hand. Okay, yes. Big food companies. Fast foods? Oh. No, just one at a time. Oh. Do you have a choice? Oh, why don't you exercise that choice? Do you have to go to McDonald's on Fridays? Oh. But why do the people do this? Don't they know better? Just a minute, just a minute, just a minute. You're on the right track. Oh, it's a taste. I can't take that. It's the wrong taste for me. Somehow people have developed the wrong taste. Right, see? So we have to, you can change tastes, but people don't know this. So the point is, it's part of the culture. That's what we do. We go out with our friends, and our friends, especially if they're large, we become large too because we go where they go. And when we look at our friends and they are large, we don't realize that we are getting large too because we have no reference point anymore, right? So it's education and it's environment. Okay, that's very good. That was an excellent idea. Yes. You talked about it was big food companies. How does it figure?
Well, from what I've seen over different studies and things like that, there's, they've developed pretty much everything so that is appealing. They even have, I read about two chemical companies that are purposely not well known in North America, but they're the two most successful companies in North America, and people like Kraft and General Mills and people like that hire them so that when they bring out a new product, it reverts back to maybe smells that you had when in your childhood, things like that. And so it draws you, the smells and the taste especially too. And but the chemicals that they use to achieve this are sometimes pretty harmful to us.
Can you all hear this? This is an excellent answer. The answer is that there is probably some kind of a conspiracy. There's actually a very intentional effort to change the foods that we have in our processed food area that makes it very difficult for us to resist the allure that's being created. Well, let me show you a picture. You know, somebody said to me today, I said, how can I have people sit in the first row? And I said, why do people not sit in the first row? And they said, well, they're always afraid they're going to be called upon. So I'm going to go tonight, ask all the questions the last two rows, okay? So, okay, did you see this book here? You all see this book? You can see it there, Salt, Sugar and Fat, How the Food Giants Hooked Us. Now, I've talked about this book several times since I've been here. For some of you that have not been here, many of the largest processed food companies today, the 11 largest processed food companies represent 700,000 employees. They represent a sales volume of $280 billion a year. These 11 companies, I just give you a few names: Nestle, Kraft, you mentioned, Coca-Cola, Mars, Kraft, Nabisco, General Mills, Procter & Gamble. These are companies, many of these companies more recently have been purchased by whom? Philip Morris. Philip Morris, yeah, haha. Now, do you think that Philip Morris understands something, that tobacco industry knows something about alluring people to their products? Do you think they know something about how to habituate people? They certainly do. Do you think they know something about addicting people? They certainly know how to do it. And they're working, like you said, they're working with one particular large laboratory, and it's sort of a, like you said, clandestine sort of operation where they have 300 PhDs. And they have a budget of $17.5 million. And their purpose and their mission is to find the amount that is necessary of salt, sugar, and fat to put into the products of these huge processing food companies so that you are being hooked into these foods. They know that if there is enough salt, if there's enough sugar, if there's enough fat, or if you have all 2 or 3 to combine, they know exactly at what level they have to put this into the foods in order, when you taste this food, the moment you have that Oreo on your lips, within nanoseconds as it hits your tongue, there are special nerve cells, and these impressions, these messages are being sent to the pleasure center of the brain, where it evaluates the pleasurableness of these foods, and when it's the right amount, you are over the moon. There's nothing you can do. You've got to have that second Oreo. You've got to have that second M&M. You have to have that second Pringle. There's nothing you can do. It's very, very difficult. I mean, I had an engineer. We did a special chip program for the Chrysler company, and they were very concerned about not being able to lower their medical costs of their employees. And so they came to us and said, can you help us to lower the medical costs by making people healthier? Yes, we can. And so this engineer sent me a package. And it was all wrapped in, you know, this special silvery tape. What do you call this tape? Yeah, duct tape, yeah. I mean, I thought to myself, my goodness, I thought I would get a gift. Here's this duct tape all around. So I open up, I'm in a hotel room there, and I'm opening it up, and inside there are M&Ms. He said, I dare you to have only one a day. Can you do it? Can't. Here's what I did. I put them on my night table, and I love M&Ms. I do. One a day, if they're around. So I take one M&M, and I really enjoy it. You know, after a long day, I'm sweaty. I have given all I can give to these people to educate them. I feel very, very good. I have my M&M, and then the next morning, I wake up. And so I feel sorry about myself. Why is my wife not here? My kids are not here. Why do I have to be here in this cold climate and take care of Chrysler? But I see the M&M. And, you know, they become very comforting foods. And I'm reaching out for the M&M. But remember, I had counted them the night before. It was 94 M&Ms, so I knew I had enough for 94 days, right? So I'm reaching out for an M&M, and then the thought hits me, didn't I have one last night? No, I didn't have one yet. No, this is my first M&M. There are 94 there. So I count them, and there are only 93 there. So I said, I must have had one last night. No, I counted wrong. So I divide them into 2 portions. So I count, you know, half of them and half of them. I add them up. It's still 93. I said, I must have counted wrong. So I divide them up one more time. Now I have a quarter. And so I add them all up. It's still 93. I said, I had one last night. You see how the mind plays tricks on you? And then I put them away. I put them in my drawer. I'm working all day. I'm lecturing to these people there. I come home. I feel sorry for myself. Why is my wife, Lily, not here? I mean, I kind of miss her. It's so nice to have someone there. Why do I have to be in this hotel? But I can have an M&M. And then all of a sudden, but I had one this morning. Yeah, I did. Didn't I? Then I have to face the truth. Yes, I did. It is so hard. And then I let it go. You know, I mean, I won that battle. And once I had won that battle, it was easier. I mean, you can give me 94 M&Ms tomorrow. It's not a big problem. I will take one, and that's it. And I put them away. But it was a battle when I did it the first time because I had to develop a new neurological pathway of how to handle these kind of things. It takes effort. It's a battle. Yes. You had your hand up? Yes. That is correct. It can be more addictive than cocaine. It's subtle, but it's very strong, yes. Oh. Yeah, that's right. that's correct. I had just finished the two here, yes. Okay. Okay, I understand. So ultimately, we have to make the choice. That's why I said earlier, but we can say no, right? We can say no. If we don't bring it into the house, you won't find it there. It's true. If you go to a party and you know it's going to be bad food, eat before you go. And say, oh, I just had a meal, I'm so sorry. Are you with me? There are things we can do. We are not subject to the environment totally. We have jurisdiction over that, but it takes special awareness, it takes education, and it takes willpower. What are some of the other factors that are contributing to our overweight problem?
Advertising.
Yeah, advertising, big time. I mean, you watch the television on a Saturday morning, people tell me that the kids are being seduced. The kids watch television on Saturday morning, and it's one advertisement after another, and the kids just freak out. Yes. Anybody else? What is contributing to our obesity epidemic? What are some of the factors? So we talked about advertising, we talked about convenience, it's available, we talked about we're being seduced by the processed food industry. Yes.
Sometimes if they offer you a deal, like they'll say, okay, 2 tacos for 99 cents or an $8 salad at Wendy's. You know what I mean? Like it's the price luring that they get for you too. So
it's called added value, right? Just for another 25 cents, you get a whole package of French fries. Who can resist? Honey, this is a great deal. I mean, look what we're going to get. Right? Yeah.
I was just going to say lack of exercise.
Yeah. True. Exercise, true. That's a good point. We'll come to that later on. Anybody else here? How about family traditions? Right? When we have special holidays, we always celebrate with the worst foods, right? When the baby is born, worst foods. When the baby is baptized, worst foods. When they get married, the worst foods. When we get buried, the worst foods, right? We celebrate with the wrong foods. Yeah, nobody offers carrot sticks and celery sticks. No. That's right. Yes.
I think for myself, it's just a lack of education as to how to go about it, because I've known for a long time I should eat better. I mean, I grew up hearing a lot of these kinds of things, but being so busy, it was just easier to go get a box and throw the contents in the oven, or a row of Oreos was fine. But ultimately, it's not good for my health, and then the weight problems as well.
You can actually have healthy foods quickly prepared, but you have to really plan it. I think you probably would agree with that, right?
I can make just about anything in 15 minutes. Just about any of some of the tougher ones, lasagna, those sort of things. But the majority of meals, you put your brown rice, cook it, put it in the freezer, so when you're ready to go. One thing, another thing too, it's not just advertising, it's false advertising, where they'll say for, Pam, no calories.
Did we talk about that? Pam? Pam has no calories? It's really, well, it's truthful advertising, actually, because they tell you a serving size of Pam. You know what Pam is? Yeah, oil spray. It tells you for 1/3 of a second, you get less than half a calorie. Well, has anybody ever tried to push for 1/3 of a second? I mean, this was already half a second. It's too fast. So it's deceptive advertising. It is truthful technically, but it's very deceptive. Okay, anybody else?
I think mainstream medicine doesn't encourage it either, to have a healthy lifestyle. They'd rather just fix the problem.
Do they fix the problem? Is the medical system successful in fixing the problem of obesity? No. Yes? Somebody says yes? Can we fix the problem of obesity medically? Do some magical drugs? We can do some surgery, but there are all kinds of problems with that too. Is the medical system encouraging health? Why not? Oh, I don't know about that. But let's put it this way. The medical system, those that promote and those that exercise their professional training and their leadership in the medical field, they're specialists in the area of disease. They can do a great job in disease diagnosis. They can do a great job when you have a broken bone. They can fix this better than anybody else. They can, when you have an infectious disease, you have a urinary tract infection, you can get help immediately. So the medical system is doing a great job. But when it comes to these chronic diseases, like obesity and hypertension and diabetes and heart disease, these are diseases that involve our lifestyle. It involves the choices that we make. And they're largely food-borne illnesses. That's the new term that is being used. Food-borne. They relate to our foods that we eat. They're largely food-borne diseases. You can do all the exercises you want. You're not going to lose any weight, regardless of what you see about The Biggest Loser. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. We need to get on the topic now. Hey, yes?
They also can deceive you.
Can deceive you.
The manufacturers by saying it's lower in fat and lower.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm glad you're reinforcing that idea.
I just wanted to say environment or social pressure. Like for example, I moved 7 years ago to the northern Michigan, and my husband was a triathlete before we moved, and now he's 350 pounds. And there's just not the social pressure because the majority of people are obese.
It's quite a change, isn't it? It's a very big change. Wouldn't it be nice to have him here today? Yeah, okay. So let me come back and summarize this. So there are powerful factors that are promoting an obesity epidemic in our society. It's culturally promoted. It has to do with commercial interest groups. It has to do with the lack of education. But I think where we can do something about is to become informed, educated, and to form groups where we have a buddy-buddy system, where we have support systems, where we can do something together. We need to have healthy restaurants. We need to have walking trails. These are the kind of things we need to move towards to encourage a cultural transformation, and that's what CHIP is all about. CHIP has 65,000 people. We need to have more than 65,000 people. We need to develop a grassroots movement that says obesity is not the way to go, just like what we did with smoking, right? When I grew up in Germany, when I was 15 years of age, that's how you impressed the girls. You were debonair. You had your cigarette and you had all these special, boy, these girls really looked up to you. The smoke rings, you only could do them as well as you could do them. Today, I see a person smoking in Los Angeles, where I'm from. I see a person in Los Angeles there, and I figure they must be suicidal. It just doesn't fit, right? Of course, it's very sad to say that the hospitals were the last places where we introduced smoke-free zones. Again, it says you something about, are we in a health promotion, or are we in a disease promotion, right? I think we're living in a pretty schizophrenic environment because on one hand, people tell you you have to look like Twiggy. Do you remember Twiggy? You have to be shapeless, right? You have to be skinny. And these are then the beautiful people that you find on People magazine and all these kind of magazines there. They all look like this. They're shapeless, right? And then you open up the magazine and you look for the recipe section and you find recipes and places where you can eat for romance and for coronaries. You see, they tell you, if you don't look like this, we don't love you anymore. As a matter of fact, you shouldn't even love yourself. On the other hand, they say, eat, 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 eat. Anytime you open up a magazine, anytime you turn the television on, anywhere you go to the hospital, it's fatty food. You go to church, it's fatty food. You go anywhere, it's fatty food, right? So it's culturally related. But we need to become aware of what's happening, and we can make better choices, and we can. But it takes some special reinforced willpower, and it takes, I think, a community effort. It takes a group effort to do it, for most people at least. Now, we talked about that the other day here. You can see the chairs were always pretty much the same size, and then in the 1975, 1980, something happened. And today we have oversized